What were you thinking? We're already suffering from a global pandemic. I hear reports about hornets, giant hornets, and you thought it was a good idea to make genetically altered wasps? I said bees! Bees are important to the ecosystem. Wasps are just assholes. Seriously, D, what gave you the idea to... Hello? Darn it. Always D and his experiments all the time. Well, better make the best of a good situation. Time for Battlewasps! Welcome everyone, welcome to Team No Scrubs. And before we continue on with the videos, the question to why haven't I uploaded in however many months there's been? Well, let's be honest, we're all in a global pandemic. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has literally fallen to a standstill, and when that happens and you can't really play, you don't really have the motivation, your motivation just falls flat. And I mean flat. Flatter than your ex-girlfriend's backside. Oscar, what was I thinking? I can't make a joke like that. Since when do Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have girlfriends? That being said, today I'm back to you profiling one of my favorite decks, one of my, well, casual decks, but it's actually one of my favorite decks, Battlewasps, or as other people would call it, discount Blackwings. Stupid birds. Despite that all, despite the name they've been given, I will stand by these very dangerous looking insects, but I will play them all with the power. Just with power, alright? We'll fight with power. But before we go into the deck profile, I like to tell you about Battlewasps and what they are capable of doing. What are Battlewasps? Battlewasps are an insect type wind attribute deck. They are based around synchro summoning and effect damage. They combine both these aspects to wield out your opponent's life pools while going for fast, aggressive plays. Most of the deck revolves around summoning your tuners and your non-tuner monsters, as well as inflicting no copious amount of effect damage, small effect damage that adds up over time. They also have a synchro tuner in the deck and a very, very powerful boss monster. Well, as powerful as you can get with an archetype such as they. The archetype is a little bit undeveloped, but they are a lot of fun. If you are a casual player, you will love this archetype. It is very fast paced and it's also very, very cheap. It is quite a big power, a very good amount of boss monsters, and have a very interesting focusing. And with the copious amount of insect support that's out there, there are very many cards that you can use to support this deck, including a fun little tech card that I will show you guys later. Now on the downside of the deck, it's still somewhat of a frail deck for, yeah, like I said, it's a synchro deck, so if your opponent runs Discord for whatever reason, then the deck falls flat, and of course the deck doesn't really have much protection to go off. And if you go into a ground game, yeah, you're not really gonna make it out alive. So it has basically most of the flaws of a generic aggro deck, because the deck is very generic and very simple. But that's also one of its strengths. It's simple, it's fast, and you can make some pretty interesting plays, as you will soon see. Plus, of course, they're wind attribute, and they also have access to the Wind Twitch engine, because they're not really affected by it, because everything is a wind attribute. But we'll go all over that into the deck profile, and with that I say let's go move over to the duel table, and let's get this deck profile on the way. Here we are at my duel table with my beloved Borreload mat. This mat has been with me for so long, and we are ready to go into the deck profile right about now. We'll start off with the searcher of the deck, 3 copies of Battlewasp Sting the Poison. In fact, it's very simple. Upon normal or special summon, discard searches a Battlewasp monster from your deck and adds it to your hand. And also it has a quick effect, which allows you to tribute an insect monster to negate the effect of a monster your opponent controls. Second, one of the big beefers of the deck, 3 copies of Battlewasp Arbalaster Rapid Fire. Upon normal summon, this card can special summon 1 level 3 or below insect monster from your graveyard. Yes, it says insect monster, not specifically Battlewasp, which works fun with the little tech card that I'm going to introduce later. Also, when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Battlewasp monster from your deck. Then, 3 copies of Battlewasp Twinbo the Attacker. This card can be special summoned from your hand, but you're locked into insect monsters for the rest of the turn. You can only summon insect monsters from your deck the turn use this effect, and as its name suggests, you can attack twice with it. Next up we have 3 copies of Battlewasp Pin the Bullseye, and this little guy is quite something. It's a free special summon, similar to Twinbo. You can special summon from your hand, and once per turn you can inflict 200 points of damage for each Battlewasp Pin the Bullseye you have on the field. Yes, that's very mediocre damage. what do I say? It's a very bad little damage, but it can add up, and part of effect damage is part of this deck. And for the final Battlewasp monster, we have one Darter Hunter, easily the weakest and worst card of Battlewasp, so we only run that one. When your Battlewasp monster destroys opponent's monster in battle, you can discard this card from your hand, and your opponent takes damage equal to that destroyed monster's original attack. Also, when this card is faced on the field, once per turn, you can target one Battlewasp monster on the field and turn it into a tuner monster. Why is that necessary? I don't know. It's very, very situational, so it's not really necessary. But hey, it is what it is, isn't it? Then we will go off into some more extra additional insect support. And that is 3 copies of Aspid the Worm Warrior, easily special summonable by banishing an insect monster from your graveyard. And when this card inflicts damage to your opponent, they must send the top card of the deck through the graveyard. Follow that up with its big brother Doom Dozer, of course that effect, but then you have to banish 2 insect monsters from the graveyard. And when it deals damage, just like Aspid, it sends the top card of your opponent's deck through the graveyard. Now, this is a very interesting lineup, and it's also... Oh, what do I say? It's not really interesting. It's really generic. It's really part of general any insect lineup. And now for the tech card that I was talking about, a very interesting and funny one, 3 copies of Block Spider. Now, why Block Spider? Well, it's very simple. When this card is faced on the field, your opponent cannot target insect monsters but it. And when this card is special summoned, you can special summon a Battlewasp monster from... you can summon another Block Spider. So... it's going to be very, very simple. You send this card to the graveyard either by pitching it or Foolish Burial, summon Arbalest, special Block Spider, then summon another Block Spider, and what happens then? Well, very, very simple. Your opponent cannot attack, because when there's 2 Block Spiders on the field, your opponent cannot attack any monster. So that's actually kind of the interesting tech card. I will admit it's kind of a brick sometimes, but to me it's just too fun to pass up. So you could absolutely try it. You can special summon this card with so many options, like 1 for 1 or Arbalest's effect. So why not give it a try? It's a fun tech card. And then finally we have the Wind Witch Engine with 3 copies of Ice Bell, 1 Glass Bell and 1 Snow Bell. Now this is very self-explanatory, it's a wind-based deck, so making an indestructible Crystal Wing first turn is never a bad thing in my opinion. So this is actually the very generic monster lineup of the deck. Now we'll go over to the spells, and by extension the traps. 3 copies of Summoning Swarm. This card is very simple. You can target level 4 or lower Battlewasp monsters in your graveyard, and you can special summon them equal to the number of monsters your opponent controls. You can only summon insect monsters turn you spend. So if your opponent has 2 monsters, you can special summon 2 Battlewasps. They have 3 monsters, you can summon 3, etc, etc. You can only activate 1 copy per turn, because of course. Then for the in-archetype Monster Reborn, Revival Swarm. It allows you to special summon a Battlewasp monster from your graveyard to the field. And then you can banish this card from the graveyard, target 1 Battlewasp monster on your field, and then that monster cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects until the end of the next turn. This is actually quite decent support for this deck. 2 copies of Insect Imitation, basically the insect version of Transmodify. Tribute 1 insect monster on your field, and then you can special summon one from your deck with 1 level higher. So that's very easy if you just want to open up with something big, or you have your Pin the Bullseye, or if you're a Block Spider, you summon your Block Spider, then you make a Sting the Poison, and you go off on there. 3 copies of Called by the Grave, because we don't like disruptions in this deck, and you never know. This is basically my staple card for most decks, so why not put it in this deck as well? Then for some generic cards, 1 for 1 to special summon the Block Spider or the Pin the Bullseye, 1 Foolish Burial to send insect monsters to the graveyard for many reasons, Monster Reborn because it's Monster Reborn, why not, and then 1 trap card, Battlewasp Nest. It's a very interesting trap card, and I mention it, because when this card is activated, when your Battlewasp monster is targeted for attack, you can activate this card, special summon a Battlewasp from your deck, and then end the battle phase. Then it will get a counter on this card. If this card has 2 counters on it, it is destroyed. So you basically get 2 negates and 2 special summons when you pull the effect off. Now I don't really pull this up too much, but I honestly kind of like it. I like the generic aspect of it. I like the insect of the gimmicky stuff. I've always been more of a gimmick player, more casual player, so I like moves like that. Then we will go on into the extra deck, and it's a very linear extra deck, if I do say so myself. 2 copies of Battlewasp Hama the Conquering Boil. It has very different effect. If this card was summoned using a Synchro monster as material, it gains the additional effect to allow you to attack 2 times. So this card can attack 2 times if you use a Synchro monster to summon it, which we'll go into later. When this card attacks a monster or deals bad damage to your opponent's monsters lose 1000 attack points. And during a turn where this card has not attacked or dealt any damage, you can deal 300 effect damage for each Battlewasp monster in your graveyard. It's literally the most go-to card, and honestly, it has breathtaking artwork. I absolutely love it. Then we have the level 6 in Battlewasp Halberd Charge. The effect is very simple. When this card attacks a monster which has a higher attack point, you can cut that opponent monster attack points in half. And then if this card inflicts damage, you inflict 200 points of damage for each Battlewasp monster you have on the field. Then we have Battlewasp Azusa the Ghostbow, which is our Synchro tuner. Every time a Battlewasp monster inflicts effect damage, you can also double that damage basically. And when this card is in the graveyard, when your Battlewasp monster destroys the monster by battle, you can special summon it in defense mode from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. So basically, you make Sting, you summon Twin Bow, you summon this, and you go into more of your single plays from there on. That's totally up to you. And then for the boss monster deck, one Battlewasp Ballista the Armageddon. When this card is synchro summoned, and it's a level 12, banish all insect monsters from your graveyard. All your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack points for each of the banished monsters. And when this card is destroyed, you can special summon 3 level 11 or below insect monsters that are banished. So it's a pretty good card. You don't go into it too often, but it's unmissable in this deck. Then we go, of course, for the Crystal Wing plays, one Winter Bell and one Crystal Wing, for of course the Wind Witch combo, and an extra card for that, Wind Pegasus at Ignister. Now, why do I play this card? Well, it's a wind monster, so you can also summon it with the Wind Witch combo, and it can destroy a spell or a trap card. And also, when a card on your field is destroyed, you can banish this card from field or grave to return a card your opponent controls to the deck. Usually my thing is, if I go first turn, I go for Winterbell. If I go second, I will have to go for Wind Pegasus in case my opponent has any back row that I feel problematic about. Then for another gimmick card, one Totem Bird. It's a very good Wind Xyz monster, but I can't really go into it because Twin Bow locks me into insects. But I just literally revealed, just before I filmed this, that there's going to be a great rank 3 that would fit this deck perfectly. So it will probably replace it, but for now Totem Bird is fine. Then for the Link monsters, pretty standard stuff. One Borrelsword Dragon for OTKs. One Seraphim Papillon for Link, well, it's basically insect material. One Great Fly because it's all wind, and one Link Reel because we have a lot of Link ones. So that was the deck profile, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of in a rut right now, and so is my inspiration, but I'm going to try to kind of get back on track now that it's slowly coming back a bit. So I hope very soon that I will have a bit more content to shoot for you guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, and you know, all the good stuff. Everyone, have a happy day and happy dueling.